Welcome to the Powerful Marketing Tips Podcast, created for overwhelmed business owners who want to build, run, and organize their marketing for good. And here's a brief overview of our guest. Being a team leader is not an easy position to be in. We all want to unlock our team's potential, right? But first and foremost, that requires a lot of work on ourselves as team leaders. Meet Julian Roberts, an executive and leadership coach with a background in commercial and sales and a passion for business and people. He realized that he valued watching one of his direct reports win more than winning the business himself. His core driver was and has been the desire to unlock another's potential, perhaps yours.
Hello. When working in teams, we all wish that everything would kind of just work out. People think along, they do high quality work, they are productive, effective, of course responsible, and we all work towards achieving the overall goals. But the reality isn't always like that. Too often things are not done in the right way, at the right time, and we feel like we need to be, let's say, a babysitter looking after every little thing. So today we are going to dive into how to unlock the potential of your team with Julian Roberts. Welcome.
Good to see you, Marie. It's good to be here. I love being on podcasts. I love talking about unlocking potential. It's my passion and my purpose. That's what it is. So I bubble over with it. I get excited by it. So I'm really pleased to be here today.
Well, thank you. And that's great. So tell us a lot about this passion, because we would need some background, How did you become passionate about coaching leaders? Because what I'm curious is that what were the signs that were out there, when you came to realize the need for it?
Interestingly, it took a number of years. It took me nearly 20 years working in sales within the food industry, where I led teams, went up in the career ladder, and managed large teams, and was successful in that sense. Delivering sales, delivering EBITDAs, and I came to a crunch point about 6 years ago, realizing, am I really enjoying this anymore? And it just wasn't resonating anymore. And so I started to reflect on those 20 years of working, and I realized that what got me really excited is when I took an individual who's working for me, and I got alongside them, and I coached them, and I help unlock their potential. And then I see them sort of take flight, and they're empowered, and off they went, and they grew, and they did things, and I watched that results, and that's what got me excited. And so I based that on my sort of career move of jumping out of the corporate world, where I retrained as an executive coach. I wanted to hone those skills. I wanted to get some real supervision. I wanted to practice as well, and role plays. And now that's what I do. I do that with individuals. I do it with teams. And I love it. And every time, I work with an individual or a team, and they get those light bulb moments, or they just get those little insights that they've never had before, it just makes me think, yes, this is what I love doing. I feel fulfilled, and I have lots of energy about it.
Wow, that's great. But let's go back, a few steps here. And could you please walk us through the benefits of, let's say, working with our teams? Because I know it applies as well as for any business owner, but also for a solopreneur who are working with a team of people, collaborating with them, right? And also for freelancers, right? Yeah.
I think it's always important to realize that in this world, we need help. We can't do everything on our own. And there's a lot of powerful entrepreneurs out there, and business owners and business leaders. And, the ones that I get alongside with are very successful. And you can think, why do they need any support and help? But we all need it. I have my own coach as well, that supports me, challenges me, helps me get those insights. And I think we all need that objective perspective sometimes, and somebody to give you a sense of reflection of what's going on, be a mirror to what you're doing, but also somebody to really help you mine those insights. We can do them on our own to a certain extent when we reflect and we get mindful, But somebody who's trained in questioning, trained in understanding what you're doing, what you're thinking, can really help mine those insights. And I think it's valuable for anybody, whether you're setting out in business, setting out in your career. At some point, bring a coach in. Coach is a short-term engagement. It's not for a long-term thing. But at moments in life when we need to make some key jumps, and I work with a lot of other individuals or companies that are making some steps to make some big jumps forward, and they just need some support on how to do that, and their teams need supporting to overcome that. But also, often we have big goals, we have big dreams, and we sort of know how to go about it, which is obviously helpful in terms of strategy. But often people just don't believe they can achieve it. So they have these limiting beliefs, and they don't realize you've got limiting belief until perhaps a coach starts to engage with you and talk to you, and you have this limiting belief. And that limiting belief will always stop you achieving something. It'll make you do something else. It will cause you to procrastinate. And so, again, I get alongside a lot of owners and leaders and help them not search for limiting beliefs, but they do pop up, and then help them sort of, I guess, push forward and smash those, and therefore they go off empowered, and they go and deliver those goals then.
I agree. We all need this outside perspective, and of course support, and somebody who can help us to be accountable to ourselves really and to our goals. But what would you say to those people, listening to us right now, thinking, I don't have time for this. I'm so busy. I don't have time to work with my team here. And because they are all grown up, why should I take the time to teach and motivate and delegate and really inspire others because I'm too busy?
Yes. And often a thing that happens, people don't have time for it, or I will do it tomorrow. We always put things on tomorrow. And in some ways it's thinking about, what could you do if you had that support? What could happen? And thinking about some of perhaps the breakthroughs you're looking through. We often always want breakthroughs in life, and sometimes we sort of have an inkling what that might be. And I think it's then you not need to start to think about, actually, perhaps I need to bring somebody in to help me with this. But then also, as time goes by, then look back at your life and think, where were the moments where you did get those breakthrough? Where were the moments? What happened? Did somebody get alongside you and pointed out to you and help you? So look at the sort of patterns that has got you there. Because it's so easy to put things off, and I appreciate that. And I think people take time to make decisions. But what are you really after? What are you really going after? And what are the ways you're going to do that? Sometimes bringing a coach in, sometimes talking to a mentor, whatever it may be. Find the ways and get down to the point of, whatever I'm doing, am I getting towards my purpose? How am I going about it? And what do I need to do that? And then employ the tactics and the resources that you need that will help you get there closer. So it's almost getting back to that, understanding your purpose and understanding where you're aiming for, and just do what you need to do to achieve that.
The way I see it, this is very ironic. We say we don't have time for, let's say, team building or saying unlocking the potential of our team, but that really leads us to being those babysitters around, looking after every little thing, right? And this might be even more time consuming, and of course this is too stressful. So it seems like this vicious circle that does not let us really grow our businesses, right?
Well, it is, and it's interesting because, I have a number of clients I've dealt with in the past where they've managed to try and do everything themselves, particularly when entrepreneurs, they do everything themselves. And if eventually they become the limiting sort of belief or the block of the growth of that business, because they try to be involved in everything and do everything. And the best time is when, at that point, is then you got to learn how to not just let go, but to really empower people. And when you empower people, your capacity shoots through the roof. You can't clone yourself, but you can empower people. And as you empower people, as you enable people to unlock their potential, actually you're unlocking more capacity within your business about how you do things. And we need to do that in a good way. You don't just throw things at people. You talk things through, you give people resources, you give people support, You allow them to sort of make some mistakes along the way, because, when people do things for the first time, they might not always do it the way you want to do it, but they might make a mistake as well. But allowing for those sort of failures to happen, and as long as there's a learning circle, that's really important. So I always say to a lot of certainly new businesses, think about scaling, and they get caught up with how they're going to scale their sales and their revenue and all this sort of stuff, which is obviously important. But how you're going to scale your mindset to make sure that you can go from 5 people to 30 to 60, and have not just processes in place, but have a mindset that allows your capacity to be put through your business and through your people, and therefore grow your business. It's not just about a process, not just about strategy. It's the people. You need people to increase your capacity to do that.
That's very powerful to think about how am I going to really scale myself. That's very good. But please walk us through how we should really unlock this potential of our team, because I know you have some concrete steps to share with us here today.
Yeah, I think that the first thing is it starts with you. It starts with you, the individual, and it's making sure that you have a mindset for growth, not only in yourself, but in others. If your mindset is fixed, if your mindset's not about growing or empowering others, it's just not going to go anywhere, period. That's where it starts. And so when you approach a business of trying to unlock people's potential, have that mindset that I want to unlock their potential. Because if I unlock their potential, therefore my business will be supercharged, because their potential is being unlocked to the max, and therefore I'm getting the most out of them in terms of what I'm paying for them. And so and then they're going to get rewarded and feel satisfied, fulfilled, and therefore you get this sort of kickback and sort of virtuous circle going on. And so it's important to, when you look to your staff, think, okay, have that intent, have that motive to think, okay, I want to get the best out of them. I want to see how I can help them grow and do all what I can to really help them sort of take flight. And I think that's the important thing. And it's creating that environment that is got that openness, got that transparency about it, and got that genuineness or that authenticity, as we talk a lot about that. And so as you approach people and think, right, I'm thinking, they don't even have to know about it. You could verbalize it, think, I want you to get the best out of you. How can I help you? And it's creating that engagement, that language. But as you have that mindset, you will approach everything that way. They'll feel it. They'll feel valued. They'll feel this sense of you're for them, want to get the best out of them, and you're there to support them. So it all starts with your mindset, and that's the key point of where to start, really.
I agree with you, because we also talk a lot about mindset at Powerful Marketers, because what we say, your mindset needs to be stronger than your emotions, because especially in a world of marketing, you cannot really decide with your emotions, right? And you should never decide on the emotional basis, right? But okay, so the first is mindset. What's the next one?
The next one, think about when you're trying to grow something and you're going to grow some seeds, and you put those seeds into the ground. I'm not a gardener. I'm not really into gardening. I don't know much about it. And there's some people fantastically out there who probably do. But you put those seeds into some soil, and it's important. The seed's important. The seed's got all the potential. And so if you see your staff, people who work for you, are those seeds, and those seeds have got absolute massive amount of potential. You take a sunflower seed, this little seed, reasonably sized seed, but grows into a massive sunflower. Can be like 6, 7, 8 foot tall over time. But it depends upon the environment. And so you've got to create an environment and the soil that your team will grow. And every environment is different. Every culture is different. And it's appropriate to make sure that environment reflects your values, reflects your industry. And I guess the key things on it really is create an environment that I call it psychologically safe. an environment that's where people can really learn new things. It's an environment of learning. And if you get people in a learning mindset, they tend to grow more, they tend to open to new challenges, they tend to be more flexible, they tend to be more resilient as well. And so you create that learning sort of environment where you foster people going on courses, you foster people perhaps getting coached or doing some training or support that they need to fulfill their job. The other aspect is an environment where it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to fail. If you want people to push the boundaries, you want people to excel and really unlock their potential, they're going to do things that are slightly outside their comfort zone, and they might not make it right the first time. They might make some mistakes. And so foster an environment where people, it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to fail, but taking that failure and use it as a learning opportunity, to go over it and say, okay, how can we do it better next time? What are the learnings? And talking through your team with that, how do you learn from that? And so next time you don't make that mistake, or we improve upon what you're doing. Any innovation has always come out of failure. There's always been a road of failure to get to it. It has to be. Otherwise, it's not innovative. It's not pushing the boundaries. When you push the boundaries, it's new path. It's bound to slightly go wrong. And so I can create that environment where you're not telling somebody, oh, that's terrible, you made a mistake here. And I guess the other one is an environment where it's okay to challenge, and even challenge yourself. If somebody thinks this is not a good way, and challenge respectfully. I'm not talking about just shouting at people, but it's okay to challenge perhaps thinking, almost challenge, oh, we've always done it this way. Can we not do it in a different way or a better way? And so if you create that environment where people are learning, people are excelling and okay to fail, and also challenging the status quo, you create an environment that is safe. And that's important. I do a lot of stuff with teams about creating psychological safety. And when you feel safe, you then will start to relax and start to push the boundaries and start to go for it and be more innovative and more just going for it and unlocking your potential. So that's really important, is that environment as well.
I agree, especially when it comes to mistakes. I know that people are too often afraid of making mistakes. So that's very strong for me, at least from here.
It is. And I think one thing I would just omitted really is making sure that you're role modeling that as well. And that's that if you make a mistake, you share it, and then you talk about the learning that came from that. And it shows that you're human, and it shows the type of expectations of this team, that you allow that. It's okay. Obviously, we don't go out to make mistakes, clearly, but it's role modeling and making sure that you are mimicking the expectations of that psychological safe team. That's really important, because that's where you get almost the cognitive dissonance, where people then say one thing, but they're doing another. And so, lots of people talk about openness, transparency, integrity, all these sort of words. But if you're not doing it, people won't believe it. And it just won't, whether consciously be aware of it, subconsciously, they'll just think, I just don't believe it. And so making sure whatever you say, whether it's to do with your values, creating the right environment, is that you are role modeling that as well. And so people then see it. Because role modeling is probably one of the most powerful ways of teaching somebody in terms of through observation. It's more effective than telling somebody. It's far more better than, that's why when you show somebody how to do something, it's more effective than just showing them on a screen how to do it. Actually observing it and seeing it for the real thing is important. But with these sort of things about values, people then feel values as well, and they can see your intent and your motives and everything else, and start to think, okay, I start to believe this, and I start to see it. That's how kids work. That's how kids mimic. They observe things. They say things perhaps they shouldn't be saying, because they're just copying you. So that's how it works. So be aware. People are always watching you. I think that's another thing we often forget in organizations, or whether that's online or wherever we are. People are watching you. Might not be consciously, but they're observing your consistency of what your message, consistency of your values. You know, do you say integrity and then you're not very integrity? You haven't got much integrity in certain situations. So people are observing it all the time.
So lead by example, and I agree this environment you have today is very important. And it also reminded me this Indian proverb that says, all the seeds of tomorrow are in the flowers of today. So it means that what we enjoy tomorrow is really a result of how, you know, we start today, or whatever we put in now. Is it, you know, we learning together, challenging, overcoming mistakes and obstacles and all of this, right? And also acting by our values, right? As you mentioned.
I really like that
very
proverb.
strong.
That's a great proverb, isn't it?
You didn't know that? Yeah, that's...
No, I didn't know. I like that.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah, it says all the seeds of tomorrow are in the flowers of today. So I think that's important. No, I'm sorry. I said it in the wrong way. All the flowers of tomorrow are in the seeds of yesterday, because you put the seeds on before.
Yeah. No. Okay. That's great. I love it.
Yes, I think I first said it in the wrong order.
So the seeds of yesterday are in the flowers tomorrow. Is that what it is?
Yes, because today we are actually, whatever we put in now as seeds will actually be flowers tomorrow, right? So it depends on this environment for those seeds, really, right? I think I said it right now. It's much more logical. Sorry for that, but let's go on. So there is mindset. There is, of course, this environment we talked about. What is the third step?
I think that for me, it's all about this creating. It talked a bit about role model, a bit about consistency and behavior and message and communication. It's making sure that we are consistent. Consistency is a dull word in some ways, but do you know what? People love people being consistent. You know, people coming in one day they're up here, next day they're down here. It's hard work to try and judge people where they're at. We've all met those individuals that are all over the shop, and sometimes there are some sort of health conditions that are causing that. But if they're not, inconsistency is always a worry. You're not entirely sure how the boss is going to be, what they're going to be up to. Are they going to say yes to this proposal? Are they going to say no, depending on what day? You know, we've all had those conversations where we go, oh, we'll try and get them on a good day rather than a bad day. And so consistency is really key. Making sure you're consistent. Doesn't mean you're boring. Doesn't mean you're dull. Doesn't mean you don't have high fives and celebrate and be gregarious. It's just be consistent in your message, consistent in your behaviors. Making sure that you're treating everything as you're saying it is. If you've got a message that says we're heading towards A today, that you continue to head towards A rather than, oh no, we're going to go to B today, and you keep chopping and changing and people are not entirely sure where they stand, because people get uncomfortable and uneasy and don't sort of fully commit when there's that inconsistency, because they're not entirely sure, because they think, oh, I'll just hold back just in case they change their mind again, because that's what they always do. And so it's important to be consistent in not only our behavior, but also in our communication. And so if you're communicating a strategy, communicating a vision, make sure that runs all the way through. Particularly things that are long-term, or should be long-term. There's no sort of constant chopping and changing and, oh, we're doing it this way. And so people don't waste resource, don't waste energy. And then also people feel they can trust you because they know where you stand, where you're at. And that's really important, to build that trust. And when you build that trust, you build that commitment, and then people then start to go all in. And as people start to go all in, then you start to see that unlocking of that potential even more so, because trust needs to be in all this as well. And so it's important to be consistent. Sounds very boring, sounds very dull, but it's really important. And that goes from everything we do, whether you're from your perspective, communicating marketing messages, consistency is really key. It's really important in brand sort of communication, but even more important in your personal communication and in who you are, your persona. Just be consistent. People get a bit wary when people start chopping and changing.
I was just about to comment on the same thing, that in marketing, consistency is the key, because we also need to build the trust, right? Is it the trust, your personal brand, or is it just a brand overall? You still need to, build this trust there. And of course, it only happens when you do that on a consistent basis, for sure. So those are great insights, really. And I want to be mindful about the time we have here today. So do you have any other thoughts, beside those 3 actionable steps you shared, or something that you think our listeners need to hear to wrap it up here today?
Yeah, I think also it sort of ties in with my quote at the end, but it's don't always feel you have to get everything right. I think as leaders, we always feel we have to know it all. Go back 2 years ago at the start of the pandemic, I was having conversations with leaders who were in a state of shock, state of what on earth's going on. And I said, you know what? Tell people you just don't know at the moment. It's okay not to know. We can't know everything. We can't know how to navigate a pandemic because we've never been in it before as people. And so all we can do is, bring teams together, be open, be humble, take your ego away and just say, at this point, we don't know what to do. We're looking at this, we're looking at that. So show that you're doing things. Make sure you keep communication, keep visibility up. That's really important. Making sure you're visible as a leader. And, and we still face uncertain times. We're around the world, we're coming out of lockdown, but we've got challenges in Europe with Ukraine and Russia. And that'll always be there. There'll always be uncertainty. There'll always be aspects where you don't know. You'll get shocks to your business. You'll get uncertainty to your business. You get surprises to your business. And sometimes you won't know. I'm sort of coaching a rowing team who are looking to do a world record row around Great Britain this year. And so 6 ladies are doing that. And they're going to face a lot of uncertainty. And, I've been talking about resilience, been talking about, that sort of mindset. But, and also talking about them. Sometimes you won't know exactly what to do, but it's okay. You'll get through that somehow. And people in the team will come through with some ideas, solutions. And so I think sometimes as a leader, you feel like you need to always know it and be charging ahead with the right answer. But as you move forward, even sort of slowly, you start to get revelation of what to do next. So I just say always as a leader, but always feel you need to know everything and just be that, just step up, be visible, communicate, be open, be transparent, and let the rest from your team do the work for you. And
it's okay if you don't know everything.
It is. It totally is.
I love it. So thank you, Julian. Tell us, how should people get in touch with you now? Where should they go?
Best way, you get through to my website, which is Julian Roberts Consulting.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn under Julian Roberts. And I also have a podcast, if that's okay to share on here, called Helping Organizations Thrive. If you type in Helping Organizations Thrive into Google, I should come up in the top 4 or 5 of that. And that's all about talking to leaders from around the world about business resilience and leadership in organizations.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, last but not the least, to inspire our community, please share and comment on the song and a quote that empowers you.
Yeah, well, the song it's more of an instrumental, and it's called the intro by the XX. People probably never even heard of it. But you type that into YouTube, and you'll get lots of motivational Iron Man videos that are associated with it. And the reason I love this song, it is when I was training to do an Ironman 6 years ago now. This tune just, when I was feeling a little bit like I'm not so sure about my training, I'm not sure about going to run today, this music was what got me going, because it is attached to lots of motivational videos I'd watched. And so that tune, even now, it sends like a shiver down my back as I hear it, and then it all comes, and it reminds me of my Ironman and what I went through, and obviously completed it. But obviously it was inspirational. So that's the song that I have. In
Very
terms
good.
of the quotes.
Sorry. I just wanted to say that it will go to our Spotify list, to empower our listeners as well. So thank you for sharing this story behind that. And the quote. That's good.
And the quote, I won't read it all. It's a Theodore Roosevelt quote, and in essence, I mean, the bit I like is he talks about the credit belongs to the man who actually is in the arena. It says, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, but there's no effort without error or shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotion, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of higher achievement. But the key thing is if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. And I think that for me, it's about this stepping into the arena as a leader. You might not know the outcome, you might not know the answers, but you're the one that's willing to step up and go for it, and at least have a go, have a try. But it's stepping in the sense, and to me, that's true courage, stepping into a place where you don't know if you're going to overcome or you're going to not overcome, or you might be having a tougher time. And that to me is courage. Courage is not, I think I can beat this opponent. Actually, courage is, I'm not entirely sure if I can beat this opponent or challenge. And I think it's having leadership that's really courageous, that's willing to step into the breach and do new things, and go after things without knowing the fullness of what might happen.
Wow, that's very strong and powerful. And when I was listening you right now, it really reminded me President of Ukraine right now, because he really is, this role model for us, and he's very brave, and he also doesn't know really what will come out of that, but he's there. Also, his face is also with the dust and everything.
Yeah, Zelensky is that sort of courageous type of leader, and people love courageous leaders. That true courageous leader. He doesn't know the outcome. He's facing a giant, so to speak, and yet he's still standing there, engaging with people. He's talking around the world with the UK Parliament. He's been there in terms of on sort of online. He's been with the sort of White House, and so there's a whole host of stuff he's doing. And he doesn't know the complete outcome yet. He'd like to know what the outcome is, but he doesn't know it. He's stepping in. So yeah, true courageous leadership. Yeah.
Wow, thank you, Julian, really, for your time. We truly appreciate, those valuable insights and thoughts here, and we really wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me on. I've really enjoyed it. Really loved speaking to you today. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all we've got for this episode of the Powerful Marketing Tips Podcast. Make sure to link up with us at our free monthly international mastermind event. Just go to powerful-marketers.com/mastermind for registration. And one thing that would really help us and other new potential listeners is if you would rate this show and leave a comment wherever you tune in to listen. Until next time, take care.